Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ignite. We're going to be talking about open houses today. My name is Chris Day. For those of you who do not know me, I have been in real estate for a little while, about 14 years. And kind of a little bit about my background. I started with Keller Williams in 2007, and for a few years I went over to another company and came back over to Keller Williams, and I will never leave again. Uh, I really like this, like the company. I like the training. I like the people. I like the energy here. So I'm here for life. So I'm really excited to go over open houses today. Open houses have been a big part of how I built my business, especially when I came back over to Keller Williams. I came back to Keller Williams in 2015, and I had Nicole's job before she did. I was director of agent services, and I got to do a lot of training in that position, which I liked a lot. And and when I went back into production in 2017, I was a buyer's agent, and I had a big focus on doing open houses to try to get new clients. And when I reviewed my numbers a few days ago, just to kind of see how much business I actually get from open houses, and this year and last year, because of pandemic, I haven't been doing a lot of open houses, and everybody's doing them differently. But pre-pandemic, so in 2019, I had six-figure GCI just from doing open houses, and then I was getting business in other ways from my database, but open houses were a huge part of my business, and I was averaging one closing per open house. So you can build a business off open houses if you are doing them right. Which doing them right, a lot of it is just the conversations that you're having with the people who are actually going to the open house. I just passed out the flyer that shows the seventh level open house, and this is a KW document. It's in the Keller Williams Red Book and in the Shift Book, and it just shows, if you're just showing up to an open house, putting a sign in the yard, that's level one. And as you see going through level two through seven, it's like adding another piece. I think most realtors are probably at maybe a level three or a level four, where you're just kind of showing up and you're putting some directionals, and having a, it says balloons. I never use balloons. I actually have flags that I buy, that are on these poles, because those are reusable and balloons are not. um, and so really, when I do open houses, I'm usually at a probably a level three or four myself when I'm doing them. um, but we'll go over different ways that you can really market the open house through social media, through circle prospecting, and things like that. So, does anybody have any questions before we get started? Okay. Okay, so Amanda asked, where do you find flags for the open houses? There's a flag store on Battlefield. I think it's Battlefield in Campbell. It might be called Springfield Flags or something. I don't remember the name of it. And when I purchased my flags, they were $8 a piece, and they're the multicolor, kind of the triangle flags that are on a little pole. And so I stick them at every directional, and then I'll put two in the front yard, kind of on either side of my open house sign, and they kind of wave around in the wind, and they really capture attention. I don't put them up until I'm actually doing the open house. So where I'll put directional signs up usually a day before or 2 days before, just depending on the house. When I'm actually driving out to do the open house, that's where I'll put the flags in. Otherwise, if they're there for too long, they'll get stolen. Yes. They're generic. Yeah, they're not branded to Keller Williams. Anyone in the public can buy them. And Oh, it's a lot more cost effective than buying something that's big and branded, and easier to carry around too. Hmm. Yep. So they used to be $8 a piece. I don't know what they are now, but I'm sure they're not. Campbell and Battlefield. It's a yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 And I've had mine for years, so they last a really long time. It's almost a really a one-time investment. I've had a couple of them break over the years, but I've had them like I'm sure I bought them 12, 13 years ago, and some of them, the fiberglass has started to kind of wear out. But otherwise they're in pretty good shape. Amanda said online, I've seen them in yards, just never knew where to buy them. So yeah, so those are a really good tool. Hi there. Okay. So you guys, was everybody here for Austin on Monday? Hey, what do you guys think of that? What did you get out of it? Make sure the mic's on too.
It's got to be red. Can you hear me? Oh, I know. I'm asking online.
Not sure. Yes. Amanda says yes.
It was really great because he actually let us have him cold call us. So he cold called us first to try to go through a conversation for somebody who might be difficult answering the phone.
Nice.
And then opposite, then someone else got to actually be the cold caller. But he also just gave us some really great terminology and things that were kind of that aha made sense. I've got them written down, but um, just really good verbiage that
Mhm.
makes sense, that is things that we've all been thinking, but we don't know how to say it.
Okay.
So he really gave us uh, some good things there. I was trying
So
to
really, really good scripting.
yeah, really good scripting. I mean, because we were prospecting, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so, yeah, it was really good.
That's
He
good.
doesn't like open houses. Do you know that?
He doesn't?
No.
Okay. Yeah. And I love open houses,
I do
and
too.
and my success with open houses is due to scripting. And it's honestly, it's not scripts that I learned from class in Keller Williams. I just doing so many open houses, I learned which questions were the best to ask, and would get the best responses, um, and how to ask the questions, what questions will lead to other questions, and I'll kind of go over exactly what I use in an open house, and how I get people. Um, I did some open houses with Nicole Lowry, who I think is probably going to be in here later on, um, and there's a fly buzzing around me. And I gave her some of my scripts, and she told me recently that she's been using them, and she's picked up 4 or 5 clients from open houses by using a really specific script, which is basically, if you find out that they're not working with a real estate agent, you just look at them and say, well, I'm your agent now. And you reach out and shake their hand, and you're just giving this confidence, and you're telling that, no other agent at an open house is going to say, well, now you and me are connected. I'm your agent now, you're my client now, I'm shaking your hand, but you're giving this confidence, and you're telling them, I'm going to lead you through this now. And they'll usually look a little shocked and laugh a little bit, but then they're your client, so that works really, really well. And I'll go over some of the other things, scripts that I use as well. Nicole said, I like that he recommended several lead generation ideas for 6 months to find your personal niche. All right. So, what successful agents do every day? Grow your business and run your business. So, lead generate for buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations and get listings, make buyer presentations and get buyers, preview real estate, and then running your business. market seller listings, show buyers houses, negotiate contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management, set goals, compliance and risk management, attend training, and uh, get coaching, manage money. So the goal of our time today is to learn how to successfully incorporate open houses into the prospecting strategy to generate business. Okay. So has everybody in here held open houses yet? Kind of.
I shadowed Paulina last Sunday.
Okay.
And then this Sunday.
Okay.
In Republic. So this will be my.
Good.
Which is why I'm like, I need to be in this.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Paulina was really, really. Had like these really. There was like hardly.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I have not.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, it will.
So, the goal of holding an open house, it's not to sell the house that you're at. It's to generate new business for yourself by picking up clients. Some of my favorite open houses are ones that I would never sell to my clients. Okay. Part of the reason why is you can use deficiencies of a house to gain trust. Okay. So if I'm in a house and the floors are really, kind of slanted, or I know of some other bigger issues or something. If someone's walking through the open house, usually if it's something bigger, they're going to see it anyway. So it's not really a secret. And if you're just kind of saying how amazing and awesome the house is, and not pointing out something that's blatantly obvious to everybody walking through the house, they're not going to trust you. But if you're in conversation with them and you can say, well, actually, yeah, I kind of don't like that about this house too, but I'd love to be able to help you find something different. So um, it's it's harder to do that if you're holding out open your own listings. You can't really talk bad about your own listing. Um, but if so I like holding open other agents' listings a lot more than my own. So the goal is to add maybe just 2 or 3 people to your database, and to be able to be in communication and prospect, you know, 1, 2, 3 people. My goal is to get 3 names from every open house that I can put in my database, and then I can call and I can put on a marketing plan, and you know, eh, and that leads to, I'm going to probably close one of them, or sometimes they'll refer me to someone else if they're not buying right away. But that's the goal, is just to try to build up your database a little bit. So the benefits of open houses for prospecting, number one, they're inexpensive. You can basically buy an open house sign or borrow one from the listing agent and go out and stick it in the yard. The listing agent is going to be putting the open house on the MLS, which is going to syndicate out to Zillow and Realtor and everywhere else online. You can put the open house on social media, and basically you can do an open house almost for free. So it's one of the most inexpensive ways of prospecting, and and have a high return on investment. um, you can attract more prospects by investing several hours. um, it's Open houses are like one of the only places that you can go and sit at for 2 hours, and people who want to buy houses are walking up to you. I mean, there's it's literally the only place that you can go where you're meeting people who are usually actively looking for real estate, and some of them are going to be represented by other realtors. Sometimes you'll have neighbors come in and they're just kind of looky loos. They want to see what their neighbor's house looks like. But sometimes the neighbors who are coming in to look because they're thinking about selling, and that goes into the scripts when you're actually in an open house and someone is walking through, and if you're asking the right questions and you can get to their motivation. um, you know I've definitely picked up listings before from open houses. So I wouldn't look at an open house like you're only looking for buyers, because it's just not true. Especially if you're in a higher dollar amount. So if you're holding something that's a three, four, $500,000 house, that's probably a move up house from a first time home buyer, and so you'll be able to attract someone who's going to be selling a house and then buying another house, which is uh, well, that's really good. Okay, according to NAR's 2019 profile of home buyers and sellers, 51% of all buyers used an open house as a source of information in their home buying process. Um, so 50% or more of the people who are looking for a house to purchase are going to be going to open houses. And again, I usually don't hold open my own listings. I hold open other agents' listings. Um, and and real I look for open houses that I want to hold open, instead of looking on our Facebook group where a big team might be announcing, some opens that they have this weekend. I kind of go about it in a little bit different way, which we can talk about. So, open house prospecting model. Open houses are a prospecting activity meant to generate future business, not necessarily meant to sell the home that you're holding open. In this section, we'll review the open house prospecting model. When done with purpose, an open house is a sales event that is preceded by a systematic process and surrounded by a wealth of lead generation opportunities. Um, so the open house prospecting model, um, the model is all of the activities that you can do, from the time that you're scheduling the open house to actually holding the open house and doing the follow-up. And you can really systematize it so you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again, which it's kind of like learning a script and using the same script over and over again. So I'll just kind of go through my favorite way to find an open house is going to our MLS. And when I'm doing a search, you can at the bottom you can type in a keyword to search for a Keller Williams listings. So I'm going to search for our company listings only, and then I'm going to look for something that's been listed for less than a week. So I'll put in 7 days or 14 days or something, and I don't like holding open cheap houses. So I'm going to put something that's, I want it to be between usually 200 and 5 or 600, or maybe I'll just put 200 as the minimum. So I'll kind of put in the criteria of what I'm looking for, and then I'll look at it on a map view. And I don't want anything out in the country. I want something that's going to be more high traffic or in a, really nice subdivision. And then I'll just call the agent, and or I can see online if they already have an open house scheduled. And if they don't have an open house scheduled, I'll just call them on the phone and ask if I can hold their open. And we have a lot of agents in Keller Williams who are not necessarily on or posting in our internal Facebook group, or are coming into the office, and they don't necessarily like doing open houses themselves. So um, I can think of a number of them where if I see their listing and it's a new listing, I know that they probably don't have an open house schedule. And so I'm going to just give them a call and ask if I can hold it open for them. So that's where I find the majority of my open houses is just by calling the agents who have new listings. And if you if you're doing that search, if you go to MLS and look up Keller Williams listings, and you have that criteria, you can save it, and save it as yourself as the client, basically. So every time a new listing hits the MLS that's a Keller Williams listing, that's a good potential for you to do an open house. you can receive an email from yourself, and then if it's, something that interests you to hold open, you can call the agent. And um, nowadays it's hard to, if something's listed midweek, it's probably not going to be on the market on Sunday. So that's the only challenging thing. I mean,
can do a pop-up. You've got time tonight.
absolutely, you can do a pop-up open house. Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's in a really like a high traffic.
Yeah.
I wanna go to build.
Yeah, I try to only do opens in Springfield, Ozark, or Nixa. I've done them other places when I have a listing that my client wants me to hold open. So I've done them in Clever, and I mean I'll do Republic is good for open houses too. So kind of, but just kind of Springfield Metro, and I personally don't want to travel further out. But if you're an agent that lives in Marshfield, then you probably want to do your opens in Marshfield because you want to hold them open where you want to work, and you probably want to hold them open a little bit closer to home. So if you live in Nixa and you want to try to specialize in Nixa, you're probably going to want to hold your opens there. So maybe in your search criteria, you're going to keep it more Christian County or something. Um, so then after I've chosen the open house, I mean, that's kind of the first part of the prospecting model. Then I can start marketing it. So what are some different ways that you guys know about to market an open house?
Facebook.
Facebook.
We're knocking.
Okay, door knocking. And so, have you done door knocking yet?
I haven't done it for that. I've done it for looking to, I'd like to have you sell your house, but
Uh-huh.
I forgot it and
Yeah.
I hadn't done it. So it's actually on my list now to do next time.
Hmm.
But I do know agents who have done it and I know brand new ones that have done it.
Yeah. I haven't done a lot of door knocking since COVID. And I want to get back to it. I don't know if right now is the time, since Springfield is the
Back.
hot spot of the country right now. For
Delta.
COVID, we're the number one spot in the country for new COVID cases and COVID hospitalizations and deaths. Yep. We're all over national news. I was talking to a lender yesterday who was out of state, and he's like, "Oh, Springfield, what the heck is going on there?" No, no. Um, and then let's see. Okay, calling is another way that you can do circles prospecting for an open house, but you want to make sure that you're not calling anyone that's on the do not call registry. So if you're pulling numbers from some software to call people that are around your open house, make sure to scrub those numbers against the do not call registry. And there is a login somewhere on our Facebook page where you can log in to be able to do that. And it's not because you want to avoid a little fine if someone reports you, but there are big attorney law firms who love to do class action lawsuits. And so if they find enough Keller Williams agents around the country who are abusing, calling people who are on the do not call list, then it could be there could be a huge lawsuit against Keller Williams. So we just want to make sure that anyone that you're calling is not on the do not call list. Now, if you're door knocking a neighborhood and you're getting their phone number from them, they're giving you permission to call them. So there are ways that you can get someone's number and not be violating the do not call list. Yes,
We
Sabrina.
were talking about this before class, like, what about like a for sale?
Okay, so the question was, what about a for sale by owner who's put their house up on Zillow? I would say if, okay, do not answer questions about the TCPA. Redirect people to contact the legal professional.
Good job, Chris.
Okay. Um, if they're marketing their house with their phone number online and inviting people to call them, I would feel comfortable calling them. You know, I would say the warning would be if you're just buying phone numbers from a software, and there are a number of softwares that you can purchase a monthly subscription to, and get phone numbers that have been registered. Um, there's a website that I use if I just want to look up an individual person. I think it's Anywho is what I use, and you can type in someone's name and city, and anyone that lives in that city with that name, you can get previous addresses and phone numbers, and usually the year that they're born. Certain public information you can get from. I believe it's Anywho. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Okay, yep. And then there are softwares that you can subscribe to that are $50 or $100 or sometimes a little bit more, where you can look up an entire neighborhood and download phone numbers for anybody that in public records has their phone number in there, and those are pretty hit or miss. A lot of the phone numbers that you can get are going to be don't work or wrong numbers, or it's someone had that phone number 10 years ago or something. So but once in a while you will get a right number. And okay, so prepare, set up for success. So it's showing you Monday through Saturday, like every day of the week, there are different things that you can do to prepare and promote your open house. So like Monday, select your open house location and time, or volunteer to host an open house for someone in your market center. Tuesday, you can post online, generate a call list, call 25 neighbors, adhering to the do not call policy. Wednesday, post online, install the KW consumer app on your phone, and put a sign in the yard. Thursday, post online again, invite your database, return any yard sign calls, and email property-based internet leads. Friday, post online again, prepare market stats and comps, and print open house flyers. Saturday, post online directionals, door knock the neighborhood, using a script when the door is answered, and leaving a flyer if unanswered. So, and there are other courses that you could take or videos that you can watch on KW Connect about open houses, where there's a lot more marketing that you can do for an open house and to generate leads. So, door knocking. There's a lot of people door knock the 10 houses across the street and then 5 houses on each side. So if you're hitting 20 houses, knocking on the doors and inviting the neighbors to the open house, and there are a few different scripts that I've used in the past when I'm door knocking for an open house, and one of them is inviting them to pick their new neighbor, and they're like, "What do you mean?" And then part of the script is like, well, most of the time when a house sells in a neighborhood, it's purchased by someone who knows someone else in the neighborhood who wants to be in the neighborhood. And so if you know of someone from work or from church or somewhere that has expressed an interest in living in your neighborhood, maybe they want to buy this house, and maybe you can invite them to come to the open house with you. You know, another script that I've seen, because most open houses are going to be on new listings, because all we have right now are new listings. Homes don't sit on the market. There's a script, and I think it's probably pretty accurate, that when a for sale sign gets placed in a yard, someone who is in eyesight of that sign is thinking about and will be listing their house in the next month. And it's I've seen it to be pretty accurate. So when you're door knocking and you can point to your sign and say, I'm holding an open house right here on Sunday. I'd like you to come. But did you know that anytime a for sale sign is placed in a yard, someone who's in eyesight of that sign is thinking about selling and is going to be listing their house? I just want to know if it's you. And, they might laugh at that and say, no, I'm not. And then, but there's follow-up scripts to that. Well, if and when you move in the future, where would you like to be? I mean, where would you go and when would that be? You know, and so just there are follow-up scripts, even if they're saying not interested, not interested. There's always follow-up questions that you can ask to see to gauge like if there is any interest whatsoever in them selling. And then and then you can tell them, you know, I really like this neighborhood. When I have people coming into the open house later on, I want to tell them what some of the neighbors think is really great about living here. So, in your opinion, I mean, what do you like about living in the neighborhood? And maybe they'll tell you they like the community, they like the pool, they like, you know, whatever, and you're just engaging with them, and then you can say, you know, I'd love to be able to reach out to you in the future. You know, do you mind if I put you in my database and I'll send you my newsletter, or you know, offer them something, and um, you know, just try to get their contact information, because part of, you know, door knocking is to you're prospecting. You're trying to get people to put in your database. You're trying to engage, and and sometimes it'll land you a listing. I had a listing in Nixa recently, where I listed it, and I sent out postcards to the whole neighborhood, and I door knocked, I think, 100 houses or something. Invited everybody to the open house. The house sold at the open house, but because of the activities of putting out flyers, then door knocking, I timed it so the postcards would hit the house on Friday, inviting everybody to a Sunday open. I door knocked on Saturday. I held the open on Sunday, and I think I got something like 5 transactions out of that. And they weren't all from people who door knocked, but some of the people that door knocked told someone from church that I was aggressive and would, you know, and so I got listings from people referring me, and then I did get some listings from people that lived in the neighborhood. But it was, and actually another Keller Williams agent had door knocked just days before I did, but you know, he just kind of came through and door knocked once, where I had flyers that went out, or I'm sorry, postcards that went out. And then when I door knocked, I asked every one of them, you know, did you get my postcard yesterday? Okay, I'd love for you to come to the open house. And then I did the open house, and then I sent out another postcard immediately saying, you know, just sold. I sold the house, you know, at the open house, but we had multiple offers. Who who else is thinking about selling, because I have other people who want to live in this neighborhood. You know, so you can do a lot of prospecting from, you know, from your open house to pick up other business.
Are you doing handwritten postcards or do you have it printed?
The way that I do postcards, I design them on KW, on our website on command, and then I download the PDF, and then depending on the size that I'm printing, if I'm doing just a regular 4x6 postcard, I upload them to the Staples website, and they're usually done same day or next day, and I'll drive down the street to Staples and pick them up, and then so for addresses, I'll use CRS tax data, which is through our MLS, and you can search a subdivision and you can download addresses for a whole subdivision. And then you can eliminate homes that have sold in the past, you know, 6 months or 12 months or 2 years, or whatever. You can really customize the list so it's only going out to people that you want it to go out to. So you can have it only go to owner occupants who live there. Or if you want to market to landlords, then you can search all the homes that have a different address, that the owner has a different address than the property, and you can, you know, market to.
So
Um,
CRS.
CRS is really easy to use to do that. Yeah. So, and I'll download them to match the Avery labels that I use, and then I just print them in the market center here. If I'm doing something bigger than a 4x6, you can't have those done at the Staples right here. So you could have like OTC Print Shop or another print shop. You know, if you're doing the bigger, I think the bigger size on command is like a half page. So if, you know, it's a eight, yeah,
5.
uh-huh. And those you'll have to use a print shop to do. If you're doing the bigger ones, you can have them stamped at the front desk. We have the machine that you can just slip them through. If you're doing the smaller ones with the lesser postage, I go to the post office and I buy just a roll of postcard stamps, which I don't remember what they are, 35 cents or something. They're cheaper. Um, Here's some advice. If you go to the post office, don't use the kiosk at the front to get your stamps, because if you're getting 100 or 200 stamps, they print individually,
Oh.
really slowly, and on stamps that are much bigger than you want to put on a postcard. So wait in line and buy
Get
your
a nice
roll.
book of your choice.
Uh-huh.
Is your PDF or whatever you're using, is it editable so that you can change it for the address each time, or do you just go in and make a new one each time? You have a saved one, then all you gotta do is put the address in? Or
I
you
make a
just-
new one each time
Okay.
based on the house, because I'm always marketing a house. So if it's and it's usually, I usually only do postcards if it's my listing.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, you can do postcards if you're just holding an open house, but they take days to get somewhere. And so, are you going to want to invest, $100 or something to market someone else's listing? Probably not, especially if there's a chance it's going to go under contract.
we'll have our own.
Um, but yeah, if it's your listing, I would definitely, send post. I always send postcards, usually to the 100 closest houses to the house that I have listed, and that's circle prospecting. So circle prospecting is, sending postcards to the 100 closest homes, using a software to get phone numbers and calling 100 closest homes, door knocking those 100 homes, and then staying in touch with them through the transaction. So when it goes pending, kind of do the same thing. Send a postcard, make the phone calls, door knock. Especially if you have multiple offers, you can door knock and say, we had 5 offers on this property, which means there are at least 4 other people who are wanting to move into the neighborhood. So if you're not thinking about moving, who else do you know that you've talked to who is thinking about moving that I could go and speak with? And if they give you a name, then you can go door knock them and say, hey, Joe down there said that you're thinking about selling, and I have at least 4 buyers who did not get my listing, who are looking to buy in the neighborhood. Even if the other buyers are represented by another agent, you're trying to get a listing. So circle prospecting works really, really well. Sometimes, so the question was, do I ask where someone gets their agent if they're in an open house? And typically, no. Um, if I if I know that they're working with someone, and usually the way that I ask them if they're working with someone, I'll usually ask, who are you working with? Who's the, yes. I don't want to ask a yes or no question. I want to ask, who are you working with right now? And if they don't have a name, in their readily available, um, then I know that they're probably not working with someone. But if they tell me, oh, I'm working with Sabrina, then I'll give a big compliment to the agent that they're working with. Oh, I know her. I've done transactions with Sabrina. She's really, really great. She's going to take really good care of you. And I'll usually say that even if I don't know who the agent is. I think you're in really good hands. Um, but I know most of the agents who do a lot of business, I probably have done deals with them, and I probably know them. I probably ran into, you're going to meet a lot of agents at Mixers or Keller Williams. We have 400 agents now, and you're probably going to get to know people from the Facebook group. So hopefully you'll recognize the name if they tell you who they're working with, and you know, you never want to talk bad about an agent ever. Don't ever do that. That's totally against our ethics. So compliment who they're working with, and but no, I guess I don't ever ask because it doesn't really matter to me how they met that person. So I've never really needed to know.
I'm just curious, like,
Yeah. And so when you're doing an open house, part of my prep for doing an open house, and I think that might be, no, it's not on the seventh level. I'm sure it's in the material here somewhere. I I want to know when I'm in an open house. I'm first of all, I'm going to run a CMA on it. I want to know the numbers of the neighborhood that I'm in. I want to know how many houses have sold in the neighborhood. I want to know what's pending right now. And one of the things that's maybe even more important is I want to know all of the other active listings that are that are around there within a few miles, and I want to know what's a price point, a home that's active that's maybe less than this one. So if I'm holding open a 250, I know that there are going to be people in there who are only qualified for 150 or two. And so I want to know everything that is in the lower price point, and I want to know everything that's in the upper price point, because someone who is approved for 350, they're going to go to a 250 hoping to get a deal. Okay. But when they come in, if you're approved for a 350 and you're looking at those, you're not going to actually buy a 250. But I need to know what is active. So if I'm in Republic, I basically want to know every single house that is active in Republic, and I want to read the marketing remarks. I want to review all the pictures, and I usually will have a printout of everything in Republic that's listed. So when someone else comes in, if they're coming to an open in Republic, it's probably because they want to be in Republic for the school system or for work or something. And so if this house doesn't fit what they're looking for, I need to know what else I can show them, and then I can say, "Oh, have you seen the house over on Main Street? I can meet you there right after the open house if you want to get into that one." Mhm. And a lot of the times that I do opens, well, many opens that I've done with a partner. And the reason I like to do opens with a partner is because I know of all of the other houses that are active in the area. If someone comes in and this doesn't meet what they're looking for, and I say, but I know of another one that might be what you're looking for, and I've been in it and I showed it yesterday. Can I show you 123 Main Street? And they're like, well, yeah. If I have someone else at the open with me, I can leave and go show them a house right now. And I have sold other houses while I've been hosting an open house. Hmm. So sometimes doing an open house with someone else, if you can share the contacts, or in those cases when I went out and sold something else, it's when I had a partner and we were splitting things anyway. But if you're doing it just solo, then it's a great time to set up appointments for, if your open ends at 4 o'clock and you can get out of there into another house by 4:30, you can set up showings for 4:30, 5 o'clock. And, I always intend to be working for 2 or 3 hours after my open ends. So this slide, plan for success, location, time, traffic patterns, local practices. This is just kind of picking your open house. Again, I like to be in locations that are going to have more people, like Springfield, Ozark, Nixa, Republic. Um, the time, we talked about Sunday 2 to 4 is when most open houses are, and I think the general public is kind of trained that Sunday 2 to 4 is when the open house is going to be. Houses don't last until Sunday 2 to 4 anymore. So time is going to be, you know, as soon as you can, really, right now. Um, in a more balanced market where homes sit on the market for 30 days or 60 days, and you know that if you plan an open house on a Monday, it's probably still going to be there on a Sunday. Um, there are other times that you can do opens that are also beneficial. So if you're holding something that is really close to a really good school, um, when would be a good time to hold that open? When school gets out usually, or when maybe in the morning when parents are bringing their kids to school. So, hmm so if you're kind of on a street where you know a lot of parents are driving to the school, then that's a great time to hold an open house. Um, I've had really good success holding open houses near hospitals where I can, if I'm putting signs up on National right by the hospital and I have an open that's 2 blocks away, it's probably going to get a lot of traffic from people coming to work, leaving work, or just being on a busy street anyway. With the directional sign is going to get people to your open house. So it doesn't have to be Sunday 2 to 4. And if your open house sign doesn't have a time, it just says open house, and you have the flags and the balloons, and you make it apparent like, no, there's an open house right now, or you might even print something that says open house right now or something like that and put it on the sign. You can do them anytime. It doesn't have to be Sunday 2 to 4. Um, I find that Sunday 2 to 4 gets the most traffic, but I've done them. I've done them other times also. So door knocking, we talked about door knocking a little bit. Um, it says we're supposed to have an activity, and I think I kind of went over scripts a little bit. Do you guys have scripts in your book? Okay. Hello, this is Chris Day from the Nest Group at Keller Williams. I'm at your door because John Smith down the street had asked me to invite you to the open house on their home at 123 Main Street, Sunday 2 to 4. Feel free to bring someone with you from work, a friend or relative that might be interested in buying in the neighborhood. By the way, when I find a buyer, I'd like to be able to share people, share with them what people like about the neighborhood. May I ask what it is that you like about the neighborhood? And if you were to move, where would you go next, and when might that be? I think we went over all of those already. You can find more open house scripts in the Elements script book starting on page 25. Does everyone have the Elements script book? I tried to download it from the command site and the link was broken, so I didn't know if everyone has that. Okay. Oh, I have others. I have script books from many classes, old Ignite classes and different lead gen classes. So I have just many script books already. So I'll be all right. Mhm. I just want to make sure that you had a script book for this class because I know each section is referencing certain scripts in the script book. Spread the word, social media, ad campaigns. I think this is just kind of showing you can build ads on command, and I've done them, and they're really easy. Before command had the paid Facebook ads, which, by the way, to do a paid ad on Facebook or Instagram, you have to have a business page. You can't do it if you only have a personal page. So even if you're not posting on your business page a lot, just create a page so that you can do some paid ads once in a while. Um, Before command, I used to make my own lead gen ads on Facebook and got really good at it. It would take me only 30 minutes to build an ad, and I could get a lot of contacts doing that. When command came out, I was building the same ad on command that I was building on just Facebook by itself because I wanted to test a couple things. I wanted to test how long it took me on each one and how many contacts I got. If I got more contacts if I went through Facebook directly or if I went through command. And what I found was it took me 30 minutes to build an ad on Facebook. It took me 5 minutes on command. I got twice as many contacts through command as I did just doing it directly through Facebook. So I think the reason is, well, first of all, Command has made it really easy. You don't have to go through all of the back end of Facebook to build the ad. They've made it really simple for agents to build them. Um, and then because Keller Williams is a collective, spends so much money with Facebook, and we just have a huge buying power. So dollar for dollar, you get a lot more going through Command, doing your lead gen advertising than you do directly with Facebook. Plus, Facebook is just really, really complicated. If you've ever been on the back end of the advertising portion of it, it's not intuitive. Like I basically had to take a class to learn how to do it, and to learn best practices, and it's just so much easier just doing it through Command. So, and also when you're doing it through Command, when people are clicking on your ad and you're getting their contact information, it goes right into your database, which is what you want, so it avoids you having to, download contacts and uploading them into your database. And you can, I believe, I haven't built one in a while, but I think that you can ask qualifying questions when they're filling out their information. Um, so
Also, add it directly to this.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that just happened like last week, or I was like, have I missed this? But so now I don't even have to do a trigger. I don't have to go in and put it all in and use it as a trigger. It's automatic. It says, what smart plan do you want to add them to?
That's great. Is your mic on? Can people hear what you're saying?
Did you hear that?
I just want to make sure that
Yeah, it's
that you didn't turn
on.
it off. That's a really good insight. Yeah, the um, I'm not using Command right now because the things that I need my database to do. Yes, they heard you. Um, Command wasn't doing a couple of years ago, and so I actually pay a lot of money for a database, and I was paying a company out of California to do my Facebook lead gen ads, and so I think I was paying 2,000 a month or something for advertising and for my database. But it did so much though. I got thousands of contacts, and then it was communicating directly with everyone who registered, and it was using AI to do text communication, and had flawless conversations with people through AI, which was just blows me away that we have that right now. Um, out of out of what, 2 or 3 thousand leads that I got, only one person ever questioned if it was a robot talking to them.
Oh, wow.
And because I can see those conversations live, like they hit my phone anytime someone responds, and when they asked that, I immediately jumped on there and said, "Hey, how about we jump on the phone?" And I called them. So like, no, I'm not an AI.
So it nurtures them for you, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. And it's called Ylopo. It's a company. They're based out of California, and they do real estate advertising and websites for real estate agents. hmm But it was the very entry level is about 1,500 a month, but it's your website, and it's your marketing, and then I use Follow Up Boss for my database. Um, it's YLOPO. And then all of my leads from my website or my marketing go into my Follow Up Boss. And Follow Up Boss basically does um, a lot of what Command does, but Command a couple of years ago was a little glitchy. I know it works a lot better now, but I have everybody in my Follow Up Boss right now. So to move everybody over to Command with all the notes is going to be a huge, huge project that I'm going to have to tackle someday. Um, Command also, at one time, the texting feature didn't work really well when you had a number through. Um, I forget where you have to register your number, but I use Follow Up Boss just because everything was flawless. And eventually, I'll move back over to Command because I have to have everybody in Command when I'm doing a transaction anyway. So it's like I have to maintain two databases right now, which is a lot of work, and it's very expensive. And if you just get Command down really well right now, I would just stay with Command, and you don't have to waste your money on other things, because Command really does work really well. And they fixed a lot of stuff that didn't work a few years ago when I kind of moved away from them. Has anyone else done Facebook lead gen ads? How have those work for you?
So not.
Okay.
So.
Oh, wow. That's great.
But yeah.
Okay. Nice. But you know how to build them. So you were in the back end doing all the back end work. So I bet you got pretty good at making them. Yeah.
When you said that, I kind of laughed.
Yeah. Have you built any in Command yet? It's a huge difference. Yeah. You should get on there and just do it.
Yeah, I haven't yet. I mean,
Oh, awesome. You're very new. Um, we cannot. No, the answer is no. You can't put. In fact, even if you're doing the back end of if you're building an ad on Facebook now, and I think they started this maybe a year and a half ago. You have to put if you are building an ad for anything real estate related, or there's another category. I don't remember what the other category is, but credit. Okay, so when you say that you're a realtor, it takes away a lot of the options that you have for targeting. So you cannot target any demographics at all. Um, you used to be able to, but that violates
It
laws.
even like made me feel weird.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, you used to be able to by age, by gender, by income. There's where if you're in another industry, you can target certain. You can really target a demographic to be really specific. But in real estate, we can't. In fact, where we used to be able to target to like specific neighborhoods, now the smallest area that you can target is a 10-mile radius. So so you're hitting all of Springfield. If you're wanting to market a house that's a Springfield house, you're probably marketing to Springfield and Republic and Rogersville and Ozark and Nixa because of. Yeah. When I'm building ads, I, I'm I'm finding a house that has a really amazing picture. So something that's like a mid-century modern that everybody wants, or maybe it's just a picture of this amazing kitchen or this amazing backyard setting into the looking into the hills or something from the MLS. I'm marketing houses that are for sale, and it could be a Murney agent's house. I'm marketing just a house that I think is going to get a lot of clicks. I get their permission.
Yeah, just text them.
I call them. Yeah, yeah.
So can out the whole like share.
Yeah. The question is, can you make the post directly off of the MLS? Um, you can you can share some agents that I'll see them just share an MLS link, and that's fine. That's not a lead gen ad. So a Facebook lead gen ad, what I've been talking about is where you're building an advertisement that you're paying for that goes out to the general public. It does not show up on your, like, I said you have to have a business page in order to do that. Those don't show up in your business page at all. They're just showing up in the news feed of just random people. The way that I build the ads is I put enough information or description to make the house seem super appealing, but I never put a location. I never put a price. I usually don't put number of bedrooms or bathrooms because I don't want to eliminate people from clicking on it. So if someone's looking for Nixa schools, I'm not going to put that it's located in Springfield. So um, I want to entice as many people as possible to click on the ad and give me their information so that they can click through and see the details about the house. So um, it depends on it varies from $1 to $5
Per lead.
per lead. I don't know it because the lead gen ad is not, it's a paid per lead. It's not a paid per click. Yeah.
So essentially.
I haven't made an ad in a while, so no,
I can show you mine. I have mine up.
okay.
So
I'm talking about lead gen ads, yeah.
yeah, so when you click on it,
Oh, so it affects retargeting, not,
it affects.
The game as far as
uh
now you bait.
I'm not even really paying for traffic. I don't care how much traffic I get to my website. I'm paying for someone's name and phone number and email address.
Well, I'm saying
Hmm.
the host that you're gonna.
Yep.
Which is kind of the fool.
Yep.
So.
You ever looked at an ad? Let's see. So are you an Apple? Tracking you. Listen, I see it all the time and I see cupcake ads.
Yeah,
Diet Coke ads.
Free Diet Coke.
Like, yes, I want that.
I do see real estate ads in my feed, so
It says sponsored. You'll see it.
Oh, okay.
It's a post, but it says sponsored. So it looks like somebody's post.
yeah. Hmm.
But it's sponsored.
I don't know about Facebook, Instagram.
Okay. So.
You start clicking, you'll start getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it say realtor in your name anywhere? It should know. It should be inundating you.
Yeah, as soon as I put
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like,
When you change like your occupation to realtor on Facebook, yeah. Well, and that's because there are companies who are targeting people who list
Right.
their occupation as realtor, and so you automatically went on a whole bunch of lists as soon as that happened, and so they're able to target ads at you, which, I mean,
Training programs and, yeah.
yep.
I was just looking, I have 250 leads from Facebook and I do it less
Okay.
for,
Do you know what your pay-per lead is?
I have one as high as 70, no, 333 is the highest. The lowest was 80 cents.
Okay, that's good.
And then
Okay.
so you can watch it, like
So
it's
when
not doing anything.
and when you're getting leads, you're being notified. Mm-hmm. And are you contacting them?
Calling them.
Uh-huh.
And then now they're set up automatically, so I don't have to go in. That was a chore.
Yeah.
To go in and add their tag and then do that thing. So
Yeah.
call, text, same day.
So it's been working well for you?
Yeah, it has. I mean, all of these they're not instantaneous.
Yeah.
Just like we say in marketing, they're not instantaneous. I would say a third are fake, honestly. So probably about 75 of them. Well, actually, yeah, I've called them.
Yeah.
Some of them put dirty words in them and, you know.
I get the same thing. Yeah, I'll have Mickey Mouse register with area code 555-555.
And then
Um,
unfortunately, I have those, like somebody is using this guy's phone number. I've got like 3 of those.
I've had that happen
And
too.
he's like, you're like the 22nd person who's called me today. I'm like,
I know,
I'm so
that
sorry.
sucks.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's terrible. But
it's a numbers game. You have to have a lot of leads, and you have to be really consistent and follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. The thing about getting a lead from Facebook is it's usually being clicked on by someone who's not in the market to buy or sell a house. Okay. They're seeing, I'm putting up a really pretty picture of a really gorgeous kitchen, and they want to see the pictures of the rest of the house. So it's a housewife somewhere who's, just like clicking to see the pictures on my website, but they have zero intention of buying or selling anything right now. But they will
they
someday.
will. And they're
so-
going to know something.
So it's a long game, and you have to have really pretty consistent communication. You're trying to build rapport and relationship with people, so even if you met them because they clicked on a Facebook ad, if you're consistently following up, a number of them will transact with you. I have 2 closing this month from Facebook ads, and
I have 3 that
but
I
they were from a year and 2 years
yeah,
ago.
right. I have one that the son already found a home, so I'm like congratulating her. That is
Mhm.
amazing. Do you need any help? And then I have another. Well, we just closed on our house, so I put a note in to call them next year and wish them happy anniversary on their home
Yeah, there you go.
because I'm sure their agent is going to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So those are called orphans. Most agents are never going to follow up with their clients after closing. I think the stat is something like the NAR stat is like 75% or 80% of realtors never talk to their clients again after closing, and then their clients forget their names, and I'm guilty of that. I mean, my clients from 10 years ago, I don't communicate with them anymore. I do now since I've been to Keller Williams. You put them on campaigns, and they're automatically getting emails from you, and you're being reminded to call them on their birthday or their home anniversary or whatever. So we have better systems here now than we used to. But it's yeah, definitely the key to being successful in real estate is lead follow up. Lead follow up. I mean, anybody can get leads. It's really easy to get leads from. You're going to get leads at open houses. You're going to get leads from doing Facebook ads. You can, I mean, anyone in your database, any name and phone number in your phone is a potential lead. It's someone that you can put in your database. But if you're not calling people, if you're not communicating with people and having relationships with people, they're not going to buy a house from you. So follow up is the thing that most real estate agents just kind of suck at, because they, if you call someone once and you get kind of rejected by them, then you don't want to follow, you don't want to call them again. But, when you walk into J.C. Penney and a person walks up to you and says, "How can I help you?" And your response is, "I'm just looking." Well, that's everyone's natural response. When they walk into the open house, or when cold call them because you're circle prospecting, they're going to say, "Well, I'm not interested right now." Well, that's what you should expect to hear, and it's being able to take that and have scripts to kind of get past that, to get them in your database, and then to call them again in 3 months and say, "Hey, I just wanted to check in with you and see how everything's going." And maybe you learned something about a kid or a pet or a job or something in conversations in the past, and you have that in your notes, and you can reference that again. And so the business is really about just being in rapport with people and building relationships with people. And if you're not good at follow up, if you never follow up, then you're going to be one of the 80% of the agents who don't last 2 years in the business. But if you can learn to follow up with people, stay in good communication, um, do your lead gen. I think through Ignite they're telling you to call 10 people a day. You should do that at a minimum for your entire career. Call and talk to people. That's what you do for a living. You call and talk to people and have relationships with people. Uh-huh. The question was, are we using any specific app for virtual tours? And for me personally, no. Um, you're talking about if you're showing a client something virtually? Okay, sure. So I do a lot of video walkthroughs. I have a lot of out of state clients, and or people out of town, and so I also do a lot of videos though for people who are just at work and can't go see a house, and because houses pen so fast, I'll go and do my own tour of it, and I just use my iPhone, and I put it on the half setting, which is the really wide lens, and I'll stand out in front of the house, and I'll show the house, and I'll talk to them, and I'll turn the camera around, and I'll show the neighborhood, and then I do huh? I don't FaceTime. I video it. Um, well, first, when I'm going to video a house, I'm going to go to the house and I'm going to do a walkthrough, and I'm going to look really closely at the house to see anything that I want to point out that's good or bad about the house. Most of the houses that I film in the video, I'm telling them, "You don't want to buy this house. You don't need to come look at it." And my clients trust me at that point, and they're like, "Okay, that's fine," because I'm pointing out a foundation issue, or I'm pointing out, I'll shoot the crawl space and say, "You got water under here, this, there's going to be an issue here," or I love the house, and so when I'm walking through, I'm going to point out everything that I love about the house. And because they've gotten 20 videos from me saying how much I don't like the house, when I say, "Oh, I really like this one," then they'll write an offer on it, without even having to see it. But I do film, just I film on my camera, and then when I'm done filming, I upload it to YouTube so that I can just text them a YouTube link, and I'm not transferring a whole file over. Yeah. hmm Yeah, you could FaceTime, so if they have an iPhone, then you could FaceTime through the, messaging app, or you can FaceTime through Facebook. I prefer just doing a video rather than FaceTime. FaceTime, the quality's not as good as what I can do on the phone. So for different reasons, I prefer just videoing it and then sending them the links so that they can watch it, because they're also going to send it to their spouse or send it to their kid or something like that. But if you're FaceTiming, then they have nothing to share with someone else. Mhm. I've done that too. Yeah, where I'll video a house and I'll send it to multiple people who are looking for something similar. So if I know I'm only sending it to one person, I'm going to be, saying their name in the video. "Hey Bob, this is Chris. I just want to show you this house. But if I think that I'm going to be sending it to multiple people, then then I don't say anyone's name. This is Chris Day with the Nest Group and showing you this house at 123 Main Street. Um, so, yep. Any questions or comments about anything that we've covered so far? Okay. Moving on. So prospect promote and host. I think we've talked about this, of building a rapport. Everyone that we're going to go back to talking about open houses now, I think. Okay, so building rapport. Greet everyone that walks in the door. Have guests sign in. I've done different methods of sign-ins at open houses through the years. I used to only do paper sign-ins, where you have name and email and phone number, and are you working with a realtor or something. The reason I don't like paper sign-in is because if one person skips a phone number or skips an email, no one else who signs in is going to fill that in, because they have permission now to not fill that in. And so I don't like paper sign-ins because of that. So I went from paper sign-ins to doing digital, and I have an iPad and an iPad stand, where the iPad is like in this little lock case, and underneath it there's a flyer holder. And so when someone walks in, I'll say, hey, you can grab a flyer after you sign in, to sign in on the iPad. And I use an app called Open Home Pro. And they have to put in their name and then hit next, and their phone number, next, email, next. And then you can customize and ask questions. What I found about apps like that, if I'm asking questions, they get really annoyed, because it takes long enough for them to put in their name and phone number and email. And then if I'm like, are you working with an agent? How long have you been looking for a house? They'll usually just walk away from it, so I don't ask questions anymore. I just get contact information. But I've stopped doing that. No, you don't have to have it. You don't have to have Wi-Fi to use the app. The app is on the tablet or on the iPad, and once it connects to internet later, once I close out the open house, when it connects to Wi-Fi, it emails me a CSV file of everyone that signed in. Open Home Pro. I don't do that anymore. I don't have any sign-in anymore. I have better luck getting contact information without a sign-in, because I have conversations. And
And you pick like.
yeah. So I have really specific questions that I'm asking at an open house, because I'm getting to their motivation. I'm understanding whether or not, if they're working with an agent, I'm not going to collect their contact information, because I don't need it. I'm not going to put someone in my database if they're working with another agent. If they have that relationship, I'm going to respect the relationship that they have with someone. So my viewpoint is like, why do I need to be putting people on campaigns, email campaigns, blasting them with stuff, if they have a relationship with someone else, And so I definitely respect that. And I'm still gonna try to be of value, So if someone's in my open house and we're talking about the house that's not a fit, and I'm like, oh, have you seen this house over on Main Street? And I was in this one yesterday. That might work for you. You should tell your agent about that, and they may have other questions for me. I've had multiple people who tell me that they're working with an agent call me the next day and say, I learned more about either the home buying process, or more about the market than my realtor does, and I liked you a lot. Will you work with me? And I'll ask if they have a signed contract with them, and they never do. I've had people who have been working with an agent move over to me because of our conversation at the open house, and I didn't get their contact information, but they got my card and they called me. So be of value to people at the open house, and know your market and know your numbers, and just be a likable person. And sometimes people will just call you. But so I will, yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
I will.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. So, um, the very first question that I ask anyone who comes into an open house is, and I ask it just very casually, like in conversation. I don't ask it when they walk in the door, but they walk in. When someone walks in, I say, "Hey, I'm Chris. Take a look around. Let me know if you have any questions about anything." And so it's just like, no pressure. You're not signing in. Just take a look around. And I'll try to get their names. So I'll say, "My name's Chris," and pre-COVID, I reached out to shake their hand. I don't do that anymore, but usually they'll tell me what their name is, and I carry a notebook. And so when someone tells me their name, Bob and Sue are here, I'm just going to write down their name, and then I let them walk away. And then when they're passing me again, I'll say, "So, are you seeing a bunch of opens today?" The reason that I ask if they're seeing a bunch of opens today, it starts building on what their motivation is. If they say, "Yeah, we have 4 that we're specifically looking at today," I know that they're an active buyer. Okay, once I know that they're an active buyer, I need to know if they're working with an agent. If they're looking at 4 open houses on Sunday, why didn't they look at them with their agent on Saturday or Friday or whenever? And so if they say, "Yeah, we're looking at 4 today," then I'll ask some other questions like, "Okay, are you looking specifically in this area of town or school district or something?" And sometimes it's yes, we need to be in Hickory Hills or whatever. Um, and I might ask like, um, "Who is it that you're working with?" Just something like that, and they'll say, "I'm working with Betty Sue," and I'll say, "Great, she's really great. I've heard great things about her, or I've had good transactions with her." But if they say, "Well, we're not working with someone right now," then I'll say, "Well, you are now. I'm your new agent. You know, happy to meet you." Um, okay, if they say, "No, this is the only one that we're looking at today," um, then I want to know why that's the only one. So they're either a neighbor and they saw my sign and they want to come and look at it, or this is the only one that is on the market right now that fits what they're needing. So if it's the only one that they're looking at, um, I'll say, "Well, what brought you here today?" And it's either "Oh, it just popped up in my feed that my agent sent it to me," or um, "I live down the street." And then if they're a neighbor, um, I want to know why they're there. So um, are you thinking about selling? Is kind of what I'm going to get to. And I ask my questions differently kind of every time based on their answers. But in my conversations, if I'm asking them questions, I'm going to go deeper and deeper. So this middle section, quality leads, ask probing questions. The probing questions are, take what their answer is and ask a question based on their answer. Ask as many questions as they will let you ask. If they'll let you sit and ask them questions for 10 minutes, the more they tell you about themselves and what they're looking for and what their search is, and about their kids and schools and everything, the more they tell you, the tighter you have them locked in as a potential client. But if they won't give you any information and they just want to walk away from you and get away from you, then they're probably not right for you. But if they're answering your questions, you pretty much have a client right there. And then you can get into um, telling them that you're their agent. You can also find reasons to get their phone number or email address. So I usually don't bring disclosures and utility averages and things like that, because I want them to ask me for that, and I want to say, "I ran out of those. Can I email you a copy right now, or I can text it to you or something?" So neighborhood information, utilities, just there are a number of things, disclosures. Um, I intentionally don't bring that stuff because I want to have a reason to email it to them and get their contact information, so that I can put them in my database. The flyers that I make don't necessarily always have the price on them, or other information, because maybe I want them to ask me questions and to get into conversations with me. So I don't print the MLS detail sheet. I make my flyers on command, and so they look nice and they'll have the description.
So
And
you really do like,
I do flyers. Yep. hmm Yeah, and I just print them. So um, I'll usually print 20 color flyers and just pass one per group, and then I'll have another 20 or so backup flyers. If I think it's going to be a really hot open house, then I'll print more than that. But I usually bring 20 color and 20 black and white because the black and white are free. Um, I'm going to put the pictures of the house and the description that's on the MLS usually, and the address and my contact information and my website, and all the ways that they can get in touch with me. Um, and I'll usually put the price, but I don't have the whole MLS detail sheet because um, i if they want to know more about the house and than what's just on the flyer, and the flyer is going to be pretty basic, and they're not, people don't spend a ton of time staring at the flyer and reading the flyer. And even when they have MLS detail sheet, they normally ask me those questions anyway. Um, so I'll have my own MLS detail sheet so that I can answer questions, and I'll already have read the disclosures, and I'll already know the utility averages, and you know like that. So I'll research the house as much as I can so that I'm knowledgeable about it. And if there's any information that I can email them, um, I, I use that as a reason to get their contact information. And also, just if it's a buyer who isn't necessarily in the market yet, they've just started their search, they're thinking they're a year down the road or 2 years down the road, and or maybe they're just getting decoration ideas or something. I'll just ask them permission to send them stuff. If I see something that kind of matches what you described that you're looking for. I mean, do you mind if I email you some houses once in a while? And they'll usually say yes, and then I'll write, I carry a notepad and I just write down their information. All right, great. What'd you say your last name was? Because I've usually written down their first name. What's your email address? What's your cell phone number? And then I'll reiterate kind of what we talked about because I'll be asking them questions about what they're looking for, and I'll have those notes. Um, and so on average, I think I get 3 or 4 contact information from 3 or 4 people just by asking questions like that. And being personable and being trustworthy, and if it's a kind of a crappy house, well, I'll talk about how it's a crappy house and how I can find them something better, and I'd love to work with them, and or I've been to this other house and
but
it's
also remember that
do keep that in mind.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always
I've
like,
you know what? I don't care. I'm still going to say the same things, and the reason is like it's kind of me giving feedback to the seller. The seller probably already knows that. I'm never ever 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 lying about something. I'm never lying when I say that I don't like this aspect of the house, or I think this is damaged. I think that there's um that the house has not been maintained. The air filters are filthy. If the air filters are filthy, what else have they not been maintaining on the house? Like they're not looking in their crawl space. If the ceiling fans are dirty, like if the house is, there are just certain maintenance items that if those maintenance items have not been touched, I'd be a little bit more leery about the house. And if I'm talking about that and they're listening to me, I'm not telling a lie. And so what are they going to come to me with? Their agent might come to me and say, hey, you shouldn't have. Yeah, but I've never had an agent come to me and say that I was talking bad about their house. So, um, but yeah, it's more and more houses now have cameras and other equipment in there. Homeowners are watching you a lot of the times. You can normally see them. So when I'm walking through the house the first time, if I see cameras, I'll be aware of that, and I'll try to avoid having conversations in front of them. I do that when I'm showing houses with buyers. Before every house that we go in, I remind them there might be recording equipment in here. So if you have anything negative to say or anything really positive to say, let's wait until we go back out to the car, okay? Um, just kind of good practice. This third circle here says show them a neighborhood snapshot. So that's kind of, going in. Has everyone made a snapshot on KW Command? Snapshots aren't my favorite because in Missouri we are a non-disclosure state, so our snapshots don't show any sold information. So our snapshots only show what's currently active right now, which is not a very good snapshot of a neighborhood. Um, so, but hopefully you're going to know that information, and if you need you've probably already done a CMA on the house. The MLS used to have RPR connected to it, and I think it still does. And I think that is supposed to do a decent job at running a CMA, but I've never used anything like that. I don't think that it takes me very long to run a CMA on a house. If I'm looking at comps for a house, um, I don't know, maybe it takes 5 or 10 minutes for me to come up with a pretty good idea on what I think a house is worth by running comps. So the when I've used other software that tries to put it together for me, to me it's too much information. They're 40 or 50 pages long, and it's just like overkill. So no, I don't use anything like that, and I don't know what we have access to here. And because Missouri is a non-disclosure state, software like that, if it's not directly connected to the MLS, may not have the information, the publicly available information needed to do something like that. I don't remember what it stands for. If you're in our MLS and I don't even know how to get to it anymore because I don't. Yeah. 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 It's in the MLS somewhere, but I can help you find it later if you want. So we've already talked about capturing the lead. I didn't even realize this until I was looking through these slides. So this picture of the iPhone here, that's the Kelly app. So you can add people to your database directly on your Kelly app. So, if you're not carrying around a notepad, but you have your phone with you and you're in that conversation with someone, you can just open up your Kelly app and type their information in and type notes in. That'll save you the process of uploading them into your database later on. Safety, I guess we can touch on that for a second. It says park on the street. I always park on the street, not for safety reasons, but because I want to leave the driveway open for people coming to the open house. The safety issue is if you park in the driveway, someone may be able to park behind you and block you in. So when you're showing houses, you want to put your car in a position where your client can't block you in somewhere. So I always park on the street so that I can get out of there if I need to. And you know, I'm a guy, so I don't worry about that as much. But for women, definitely. I mean, the only stories I hear about realtors being attacked are always women. So definitely follow safety protocols when you're holding an open house or when you're showing houses. Um, Besides parking, this says meet the neighbors, so you kind of get an idea of who lives in your neighborhood. Never turn your back on a prospect. So when you're showing a house, you don't lead them through the house. you direct them through the house. You have them, walk into the master bedroom or something. Usually when I go into a house and I'm showing, and you're normally walking into the living space first, I'll usually invite them to, go see the kitchen, and I'll go hit lights in the bedrooms or something, which I guess you probably shouldn't do. Um, if you can get to if you're only looking at one house, definitely get there, 10 minutes before your appointment and go through and turn on all the lights and stuff, and then direct them through the house. As- Yep.
Got something to add to that.
Okay.
I was
Yeah, that's a good idea.
before, so
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea to do a training class on safety issues and self-defense. Um, this says establish an escape route. Just know where you're going to go if something happens. Let someone know where you are and when you'll be done. So if you're holding an open house, if you have a partner, a spouse, or just a friend, just let them know, hey, I'm going to do this open house at this address, and I'll be done at 4, and I'll check in with you then. And then hopefully, if you don't check in, they'll check in with you. Um, Charge your cell phone, so make sure that you always have a way to communicate, which it's a good idea to just keep your cell phone charged all the time anyway. um and I've heard stories. I had a real estate partner a few years ago who uh was really shaken up after going to a listing where the owner, the guy, kept trying to get her to walk into the master closet in front of him, and was like insisting that she walk in to go see, to see the master closet. And she just had a really bad feeling about him anyway, and just like different interactions in the house made her feel really, really like uneasy about him, and so much so that she never went back into his house again, and any communication through the listing was done through me, so I would be the one to go to the house to do anything. And and um and nothing happened in that situation because she had the instinctual feeling and decided, I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to let someone else handle this. And I've seen postings on our Facebook where female agents will have someone contact them to go, show us a house out in the country, and it's someone that she has not met before, and maybe they made a comment or something. Just be very, very aware, and take someone with you if you don't feel comfortable, or if you haven't met them. New clients, you should always try to meet them in the office here first, because you can normally get a feel for someone, after you've met them. Um, Try not to meet people for the first time in a house at a showing.
Well, only if you know how to.
Yeah.
offer the
Yep.
so.
Yep. Okay, so the next part is follow up and convert. So, I touched on this before. Follow up is where all of your money is. You can get leads a million different ways, but if you're not following up with people, then it doesn't do any good. And Command is a really, has all of the tools for you to be able to follow up with people and remind you to follow up with them, and all the different ways to follow up with them. There's they used to um, teach, which I'm sure is in this material somewhere. Um, has anybody heard of the 8x8, 36 touch, 12 direct? Okay, So 8x8 is when you first meet someone, either at an open house or through a targeted Facebook ad, or someone refers them to you or something. 8x8 just means 8 touches in 8 weeks. Which to me 8 weeks seems like a long time, but if it's a new buyer who's going to be buying in 6 months or something, then maybe a touch a week over 8 weeks is enough. If it's someone who's a little bit more motivated and they're going to be buying pretty soon, and you met them at an open or something, maybe the 8 touches should be over 2 weeks instead of 8 weeks. But so a touch could be a phone call, a text, a message through Facebook, a postcard, a letter. But the 8x8 campaign is just 8 touches in whatever way over 8 weeks. And then there's one called the 12 Direct, and the 12 Direct campaign is 1 touch per month over 12 months. 12 Direct is normally for past clients or really close friends and family, allies, where it's usually just an email or a postcard going out to past clients. So I have all of my past clients on. I have different email campaigns going on, and it's usually like DIY stuff for the house or cleaning tips or things like that. So um, I doubt many of them open my emails, but that doesn't really matter to me if they see my name in their in the subject line or something. I just want them to see that I'm sending them stuff so that I stay in top of mind awareness. It's not really about them actually reading my content. I don't really necessarily care that much about that. Um, I have a lot or all, I think probably all of my past clients are set up on the Neighborhood Nurture, the biweekly email that goes out to show, what homes have gone for sale in the neighborhood. Mhm. That is a snapshot. But this is showing like bring a snapshot to the open house, and I don't know why that's as relevant. Um, yes, yeah. Although the if it's a homeowner who's if they're in a specific neighborhood like in Kickapoo and they're getting the biweekly email from me, I feel like I would be opening it to see what is for sale around me. The snapshots don't show solds, which is why I don't think they're as valuable. But they're showing what people are at least listing their house for right now. And I a couple of months ago, I had a client respond to my neighborhood snapshot, my biweekly email. She got it, and she responded back and said, and I just sold her the house a year ago, and she said, "Hey, I don't like living in a neighborhood." Their last house that I sold for them, they had like 5 acres or something, and they're like, "Actually, we decided we don't like living in a neighborhood and having neighbors or cars. We want to go back out into the country." And so I got to sell their listing again, sell them another house in the country, and then their son bought a house. So when I sold them a house last year, and by the way, this is someone that I met at an open house sold their listing in the country, sold them a house in Nixa. The people that bought the house, I represented them, listed their house, held their house open, got their buyer, listed their house. I mean, it like something like a dozen transactions from getting one client at an open house, and then each of the open houses I held for the other listings, I picked someone up at, and then they called me a year later because of my neighborhood snapshot email that went out, and that resulted in 1.5 million in sales.
Just
From
recently one.
So, I mean, the snapshots work sometimes. That's the only one who's ever responded to my snapshot, but gosh, it only takes one.
Right.
Mhm.
That's right.
So,
How long have you been doing the neighborhood?
well, I think they did a push maybe a year and a half ago to put all of your past clients on snapshots. So, about a year and a half. hmm So that client had probably been getting the snapshot email from me from the time that she purchased, because again, she only owned it for a year. she sold and moved. But gosh, this past year's been good for people. I mean, this gal, the house was like in the 250 range, and then she bought in the 600 range. But um, they got enough for the house after 12 months to pay full commission and then some. So it's kind of ridiculous how much prices have been going up in the past couple of years. Um, so this graph shows once you connect with someone, cultivate them. So you're going to put them in command. You're going to put them on you're going to follow up with them through emails, through text, through phone calls. And depending on how close they are to transacting, you might reach out to someone daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, but you should be reaching out to everyone in your database at least quarterly. The idea is once they get closer to transacting, then they move out of the cultivate phase and move into the appointment phase, and then they're an active client and under contract and close. And you can see this is kind of cyclical. It goes from closed back over to connected and cultivate. So once you close someone, you're going to stay in contact with them on a pretty regular basis, call them on their birthday and their home anniversary and send them postcards because they're going to transact again. I mean, I think the national average is like every 7 years someone transacts. This year, I think half of my closings were people that I sold a house to between 1 and 3 years ago. Half of what I've done this year is someone repeating business because they gained so much value in the past 1 to 3 years. They want to take their equity and buy something bigger and better and keep the same payment. And so I've been surprised at how many people have reached back out to me to sell their house again. So that's why you need to stay connected with people. Okay, best practices. Way behind on here. Some of the best practices here. Number 2, I don't know if we're allowed to do that. Offer a gift. I mean, there's a lot of conversation, and I don't know if it's just Missouri. I thought it was NAR that we're not allowed to offer incentives. So I don't know how much I agree with this. The host a speaker during an open house. That's like inviting a lender or an inspector or someone to come and do the open house with you. I've had lenders come to the open house before, and nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's basically if a lender's at the open house, they're expected to get the same leads that you're getting. They'll be able to answer questions about financing for the people that are coming to the open. You should probably know as much as you can know about financing and different types of financing, because really you need to be the expert and be able to direct them towards maybe one type of financing that would be better than another. But and then again, offering a gift, maybe the examples given were like have a raffle, give something away, or maybe for signing up, they get a $5 Starbucks gift card or something. And again, that's I don't think that's allowed. Yes.
I can speak to that a tiny bit.
Okay.
Gifts, as long
Mm-hmm.
that you can provide.
Uh-huh.
And think so. I think
Mm-hmm.
like, can you
I don't think that you can offer, even if you have food and drinks, you can't market it publicly.
Yeah, but I think
You
I
can,
think that was the thing. Is you don't want
yeah,
it was like when it's
yeah.
there and then there's
Yeah. In the instructor material for this, it was saying like have a raffle to give away an iPad mini or something. That I think is completely not allowed. I don't think that you can have a raffle to give something away um, anymore. I think that's I've done that in the past, and the conversations over the past couple of years are that we're not allowed to do that. Um, get the house in showing shape. Obviously, the house should be as clean as possible. Um, go live. I see a lot of agents do this. I've never been one to do Facebook Live or Instagram Live. Um, although if you are doing a live video on Facebook, the Facebook algorithms I think put you more at the top of they notify your friends that you've gone live, and you'll probably get more views, a heck of a lot more than if you record a video and upload it. But if you record a video and upload it to Facebook, you'll get more views than if you have it on YouTube and share a YouTube link. Facebook basically won't show that at all. But yeah, if you're comfortable going live, in fact, if you're comfortable with video, I would do as much video as possible. And if you're not comfortable with video, do as much video as you can until you get comfortable with it. Um, people like video. When I'm doing an open house and I've met someone, I'll either during the open house if no one's in the house, otherwise I'll wait till the end of the open house when I've locked the door. I'll film a video while I'm still in the house because they've just seen it within the past 2 hours, and so maybe I'll be in front of the fireplace or in the kitchen, whatever part of the house I think is the best view, and I'll just take my phone and I'll record a video of me thanking them for coming to the open house. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My website is this. You can just I do a different video every time, and then I'll again upload it to YouTube, get the link, and depending on the length of the video, if it's something really short, like 30 seconds, I'll just send the video to each phone number that I had, from the open house. So they have a video of me saying, "Thanks for coming to the open house." It's more personal than just shooting a text. They get to see my face and hear my voice. They get to see the background of the house that I was actually in, so they know it's not, something pre-recorded from my office or something. And if they did go to 6 open houses, they're not going to remember me from any other open house unless I send them a video and they see my face. Also, if I'm doing that, I'm I'm going to be the only realtor doing that. So if they met 6 on that Sunday, they're not getting a video from anybody else. I'm going to be showing them that I'm going to work harder for them. I'm going to put more effort in than anyone else. And hopefully that will give me, a little more business. So while I don't go live, I do a lot of video. And sometimes when I'm prospecting, if I'm just in my office, instead of just making phone call, making phone calls, I'll record a video that is personalized to whoever it is I'm going to be sending it to. So if I'm wanting to send a message to a past client, I'll just say hi really quick on video and ask, maybe not ask questions, but just a short little message, and I'll just send the video right to my client. And those are almost 100% response rates when I send someone a video, where I don't get, usually if I'm calling, um, people just don't like getting on the phone, but they'll respond to a video or a text a lot more than they will a direct phone call. Okay, best practices. Do welcome visitors at the door. Get the house in showing shape. Think safety first. Don't leave valuables exposed. Don't have messy meals or snacks. So while it's okay to have bottles of water and maybe cookies or something, maybe bake cookies so it smells like cookies in there, but maybe not like nachos. Um, I, you know, I never, I've tried bringing treats and bottles of water and stuff to opens before, and almost no one touches them. And I don't have enough people coming through each open house to like get rid of a tray of cookies, so I always ended up just bringing cookies home, and my daughter would eat them. And it just seemed like a waste to me. And most people aren't going to be touching your food anyway, so while it might be a good presentation, I never felt like it was practical. So I don't bring any drinks or food or giveaways or anything at open houses. The treat that I give everyone is my personality and conversation. So, and it says don't make assumptions. And um, qualified leads using only probing questions. So it means don't assume that someone is buying a house or is not buying a house. Ask all the questions that you need to ask to understand what position they're in. Um, Success kit. So um, wipes, toilet paper, paper towels, pens, business cards, backup battery for your phone, measuring tape, trash bags, air freshener, tissues. I don't bring all of this stuff. Uh, I always have enough business cards for sure. Over the past couple of years, I do bring disinfecting wipes. Most homes are occupied, so I don't need to bring toilet paper, paper towels. Um, I don't have people sign in, so I don't bring. I will have a couple pens, but not a lot. Um, Measuring tape. I have a laser because I have so many people ask me what the dimensions of a room is, and the agents just don't put them on listings anymore. So you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot or our the board office is where I got my laser. Yeah, I keep it in the console of my truck, and I usually bring it into the open with me because there's always the guy who's saying, I have a full size truck and I need 20 feet. And so I'll go out and just make sure, yes, your truck will fit in here. You
So
can
the
buy the
board
house.
has the laser measures? Okay.
Yeah, you can also
They
get,
are?
what's that? No, no. Yeah.
I tried to download an app and I couldn't figure out how
Uh-huh.
to use it.
I don't know why, but I do my Saturdays 1 to 3 and Sunday 2 to 4.
Does it work?
Saturday opens don't work well for me, in my experience. We've trained the general public that Sunday 2 to 4 is when you hold open houses. And so you're not going to get as many people on a weekday or on a Saturday.
That did signage. I had 22 at 2 weeks ago.
Good.
But a newer
On a-
thing this week, maybe?
I think nowadays, I think if you do an open house during the week from 5 to 7, you're probably going to get traffic because homes just go so fast. So people are more motivated. When something, most buyers are going to be looking on Zillow. They're going to have the Zillow app on their phone or the Realtor app. And so when a house is listed, they're going to get it immediately. And if they see that it's open today from 5 to 7, they're probably going to make the time to go and see it. I had one pop up on MLS like 10 minutes before the class, and my client is already like, I got to go see this at 5 o'clock. Like when a home is listed, they want to go see it immediately. So do you have a house that you're listing?
No,
Okay.
but I wanted to hold open.
Today's
I
Wednesday.
did okay last Friday.
On a weekday, on a weekday, I'd probably do a 5 to 7 because when people are getting off work. But yeah, it's a good idea to bring, have a kit with you to bring to open houses. Follow up. We've gone over follow up a lot. We've already kind of gone over this. Lead generate database, sales pipeline. You're trying to get a lead tracking contacts, cultivating leads. You're trying to get to the appointment. It's basically just showing that it's a cyclical process. I think that's getting towards the end of the class, and I think it's 3 o'clock, so we've been at this a couple hours. I think that's the time that they allotted for me. So, any big takeaways or ahas today? Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that's why I became really.
Oh, that's awesome.
But my kids just buddy.
Yeah.
Super offended. Oh, okay. So I don't.
Mhm. Yeah. I would encourage everyone this Sunday, go out and visit as many open houses as you can, because you'll see every agent does them differently, and you'll pick up things that, that you will want to incorporate into your own opens. I love going to open houses still, Jessica and Cabot, when I've gone to their opens, they go all out. They've got the coffee machine set up and food, and everything's beautiful. And I loved going to their open houses. Some agents you'll see will not attempt to get your contact information. They're just kind of like, I don't even know why they're at the open, because they're not going to ask you any questions or get your information. Most agents won't, and that just baffles me. I don't understand why they're there. Um, okay, any other ahas? Yes.
I like really vague when
Hmm.
you're just really giving bought a house without.
Yeah.
That's really good information.
Yeah. Hmm.
Build a rapport.
Yeah, and it's so they have a reason to ask you questions at the open, because the more that they talk to you, the better of a chance you have of getting them. Yeah. So if they're asking you for some specific piece of information and you can text it to them, then you have their phone number. Hmm. Yep. Oh, thank you. I don't know where they keep them.
On YouTube.
Awesome.
I like, now I'm your realtor.
Now I'm your realtor.
Well, you just found
You do
her.
now. That,
Found her.
oh my gosh, that works. Yeah, the second someone says, I don't have a realtor yet, now you do.
Yep.
Use that,
I
and they'll
will.
laugh and you'll laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, really. I'm listening to your contract.
I did that just kind of, it was a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I was holding an open house of Brandy Massey's, and it was a cold, rainy day. But I was scheduled to do the open, so I had to go do it, and only two couples came into the open house over the 2 hours, which makes for a really boring open house. But I think I said that because I was bored, and um, so when each of the couples, through conversation, when they said, oh, we're not working with anybody yet, I said, well, you are now, I'm your realtor. um, both of them were closed on houses within 30 days. So, and both of them told me at closing, we worked with you because you were kind of, because you said that, because you were confident and bold,
Yeah.
and you
Ready
said,
to be the realtor.
like, we couldn't refuse you when you told us that we were working with you. um, and those are both people that I still follow up with and talk to on a regular basis, and we're on social media. And but
When was Brady?
it was Brandy Massey's listing,
Oh,
and I sold her listing to one of the couples at the open, and then I sold the other couple a house just like a day or two later. So yeah, open houses are also a way to get really fast business. So you can add to your database, and you can do opens every day of the week. If you don't have anything going on and, you know, if you're in real estate full time, you don't have a second job, you don't have a lot going on in your life, like why not work at open houses? Use an open house as your office, you know, every day of the week you could be at a different open and, you know, different house and just put your signs up and try to be in a really high visibility area. And you may or may not have anyone come through, but you may also sell 2 or 3 houses. You know, I've 3 is the most that I've sold from one open house, where 3 different people at one open all bought houses immediately. Um, but I think my average is 1 per open I get. So I hope you all have the same success. Thank you for coming.
So much.